My girlfriend is pregnant, so let's get a divorce. Get out of my sight, you infertile 40-year-old.
My husband said that as he wrapped his arm around his lover's shoulders. But his lover stared at the ground while her whole body shook intensely. Her reaction is only natural. After all, she's My name is Emery. I am a 40-year-old businesswoman. I've always been good at studying, and after graduating from a high-ranked university, I began working for a foreign company. I worked in one of their offices abroad for many years, and since I returned to the States, I was given the position of department head. As I was excelling in my job, I also had a fulfilling personal life with a partner I loved. My husband's name is Noah. Noah was a classmate of mine in university, who I began dating when we were both 21 years old. We were in the same faculty and classes, so we were super close the entire time we were students. We would study for tests together, and we got to know each other very well. Our friendship developed into a romantic relationship when he confessed to me. We began to date after we graduated and began to work full-time. 3 years after we graduated, my bosses told me I'd be sent to Japan for a 5-year-long work assignment, and Noah proposed. We would be long distance for a while, so I asked him if he was sure that was okay, and he told me he would quit his job and come with me. I was happy that he was that serious about getting married, and so I said yes. The two of us got married and went abroad. We went to Japan and started living together. I was super busy at the company, and my husband began working part-time in a neighborhood restaurant.
They gave us some side dishes again today.
Fried shrimp! Nice. Looks delicious. Since my husband worked at a restaurant, I didn't have to cook dinner. We could get by well enough with the food he'd receive from his job. We would travel around Japan on the weekends, so life abroad was really fun. 5 years passed in the blink of an eye, and we returned to the US. I began working at the central office of my company and became very busy. After working abroad at a restaurant so many years, my husband was great at cooking, so he started working at a restaurant back home as well. Our jobs and married life were going well, but we had one problem. We didn't have kids. We were already in our 30s, and I was beginning to think I wanted a baby. But no matter how much we tried, I couldn't get pregnant. I went to fertility treatments, but that still didn't help. The fertility treatments went on for 5 years, but didn't get close even once. It was getting tough on both Noah and I. Why couldn't we have a baby? I began to think that I have no value as a woman. After spending a lot of money on treatments and putting my body through a lot, we gave up on having kids. We decided it would just be the two of us. Since we went abroad so quickly after graduating university, we hadn't seen much of the US. So we began traveling across America. We would enjoy local delicacies and visit tourist sites. It was really fun. I enjoyed myself while imagining my happy future together with my husband. Things were going well at work too. I was promoted to the position of department head, and I worked hard with a large team. Among one of my new hires, there was a female employee I recognized. "Oh, Lily, is that you?" "Huh? Auntie?" Among our new employees was my niece. My sister was a farmer in the countryside far away. I hadn't met her in person in around 10 years. The last time I saw Lily, she was still in 6th grade. But from her name and the way she looked, I had a feeling it was her. It's been so long. How's my sister doing? Does she nag you a lot? It's really been a while. My mom is really strict. That's why after graduating university, I came here and began living on my own. Really? I'm glad you remember me. I had a feeling it was you. But I'm surprised you work here. It's also a surprise for me to meet you like this. Are you a clerk or something? Huh? Not really. Oh, really? I assumed you must be a part-time clerk. Most of the people working at this company are young and energetic. Huh? I got the feeling that she was trying to insult me. As if she was trying to say that an old lady like me doesn't belong here. We last met 10 years ago, and at the time I thought she was an honest and kind child. But it seems she's become pretty rude. Should I teach her some manners? It was time for our daily morning meeting, and the new employees all introduced themselves. My niece began to speak, with a pretentious-sounding voice. There are so many young, cool, and reliable seniors I can turn to here. I will do my best once I learn the ropes. She made a cute face, and I could see how the male employees' hearts were melting. Hearing her emphasize how young the employees are once again made me angry, but I held it in. Afterwards, I stood up and introduced myself to everyone. I'm the department head, Emery. We really value the fresh air that new employees bring to the company. We'll make sure to show you the ropes, so please do your best without worrying about making mistakes. Everyone clapped when I finished speaking. My niece stared at me wide-eyed. She had a guilty look on her face. That day, during the lunch break, Lily came to speak to me. Auntie. No, department head. What? Well, I'm sorry. About what? I asked her a little meanly. Well, thinking that you were a part-time clerk, saying that the company's mostly young people. You realized you said something rude, huh? I'll let this go. But if you do that to someone else, like a customer, for example, that kind of attitude could get you in trouble. Understood. I'm sorry. Lily seemed to have realized her mistake, so I decided to forgive her. Really? The company Lily began working at is your job? Have you forgotten the name of my company? All you do is focus on vegetables, so you've forgotten everything else. Well, you're not completely wrong, but I'm glad that you're with her. Please keep an eye on her in my place. Yeah, will do. After talking on the phone with my sister, I did my best to teach my niece about my company. Of course, without favoring her over the other new employees. You made a mistake in this document. Be careful. Got it. I might have seemed strict, but Lily wasn't as good at her job as I expected her to be. So I did my best to guide her. She always replied to me energetically and listened to everything I said. But around that time, I learned about what kind of person Lily really was. We were on lunch break one day. I usually went out to eat, but that day was really rainy, so I bought a lunch set from a nearby deli. I planned on warming it up in the break room microwave, and then eating it at my desk. Heading towards the break room, I heard the voices of some of the new female employees. Among those voices was Lily. I just wanted to use the microwave, so I walked up to the door without giving it much thought. But then, I heard my niece say something unbelievable. That old lady is so annoying. I'm sick of it. I couldn't believe my ears. Was she talking about me? Or about someone else? Intrigued, I stopped and listened in. Lily continued. She's my mom's younger sister. So, I guess it's natural she's like this. She was talking about me after all. But if she's married, Why is she still working full time? I hate old ladies like her who continue clinging on to their jobs and work like this even when they're that old. How could she talk like that? I was shocked. Is that what my niece thought of me? The things she said were too mean. I was doing my best to politely teach her everything. But she thought so poorly of me. I might have been a bit strict, but I never went too far. So why does she have to say things like that? In front of me, Lily acted like she was a good girl. But realizing that she talked like this behind my back made me feel conflicted. After her training period, it was time for Lily to stand on her own 2 feet. She had no choice but to work on her own, but she made one mistake after another. She worked carelessly and caused trouble for many people. Naturally, that bothered everyone at our job. Even the male staff would get frustrated at her. I found it strange how someone like her ever managed to get hired. She graduated from a pretty high-esteemed university, but her memory was horrible, so I began to doubt whether her academic history was true. It took my colleagues and I a lot of time to cover up for her mistakes, so with her around, we became busier than usual. Around that time, my relationship with my husband was going through a rough patch.
Huh? Overtime again?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Please eat dinner without me.
Ugh, fine. I already cooked for the both of us, though.
Sorry, I'm looking forward to eating the leftovers when I get home. Noah wasn't happy that I kept getting stuck at work until late. When I'd get home, he'd always be in a bad mood. Sometimes he'd even already be in bed. Since he was in the restaurant industry, weekends were busy for him, and he'd often go drinking with colleagues after work. Many days he wouldn't return home until past midnight. Because of that, we spent less and less time together. To think this would happen after we got along so well for so long. My niece then began doing another bothersome thing at work. She started taking time off regularly, saying that she feels unwell. Even if she made countless mistakes and caused everyone problems, there were still things she could do. But taking so many days off, other people had to take over her work, and everyone began having to work overtime more. As head of our department, I wondered what I should do. Having worries both at work and in my private life, I felt completely exhausted. My husband then did something ridiculous. It was on the weekend. I was at home resting and I had just finished eating dinner. My husband finally got home from work around 11 p.m. As he entered the living room, I saw someone was walking behind him. "Welcome home." "Oh, we have a guest?" I looked at the person walking behind Noah. It was someone I never imagined. She had a triumphant look on her face. But as soon as she saw me, her face turned blue. My husband didn't notice the looks on our faces, and he began talking.
"This is my girlfriend."
"Huh? She is?"
"Yeah, and I've decided I'll marry her."
"Wait, what are you talking about? Marry her?"
Don't get too shocked when you hear this. She's pregnant with my child.
"Excuse me?"
I'm going to take responsibility for this and marry her. She's only 18 years old after all.
"What? 18?
Don't take this the wrong way. She's already graduated from high school, and she's of age. It's a legal relationship. The fact she got pregnant proved to me that I don't have any issues. It's your fault we couldn't have a baby after all."
He looked at me as if he had won.
My girlfriend is pregnant, so let's get a divorce. Get out of my sight, you infertile 40-year-old.
My husband said that as he wrapped his arm around his lover's shoulders. But his lover stared at the ground, while her whole body shook intensely. Her reaction was only natural. After all, She's my niece. What is the meaning of this, Lily? Noah was surprised to hear me say his girlfriend's name.
Huh? You know Lily?
Without thinking, I began laughing. That's true, you two never met after we got married. Lily is my niece. She's my older sister's daughter.
What?
Noah began looking between us wide-eyed.
No way. You two are related?
Lily stared at the ground. I don't know why she lied to you, but Lily is 22 years old and works at my company.
Huh?
Noah was obviously shaken by everything that was being revealed to him.
Wait, you're not 18?
It seems the two of them met on a dating app. It was so gross that Noah would use something like that when he was already married. The two of them met up, and he became something like a sugar daddy.
Don't call me a sugar daddy. I was just supporting her because she didn't have money.
It doesn't matter what you call it. You admitted to having an affair and came to divorce me. You'll have to pay me alimony for this.
Well, I guess I have no choice. It doesn't matter if Lily lied about her age. She's pregnant, so I need to take responsibility.
Well, I acknowledge that's very valiant of you, but that doesn't change the truth that you had an affair. About me being infertile, I did some tests and saw I'm perfectly fine. I should be able to get pregnant without any problem. They don't usually recommend fertility tests to men, and I didn't want to force you to do anything. But have you ever considered testing yourself?
Huh?
She lied to you about her age and so on, so don't you think you should take a paternity test?
What? Are you saying Lily betrayed me?
My husband seemed unsure whether he trusted Lily or not. Lily was still very flustered about the fact I was her lover's wife, so she couldn't say a word. I stood in front of her and spoke clearly. I will tell my sister about what you did, and will report this to our company. I overlooked the fact that you complained about me behind my back and called me an annoying old lady. But I can't take this anymore. You're horrible at your job, and you lied about your age on a dating app. You're just too much. Even if you don't get fired, you won't have anyone to turn to. Lily's face became even more blue. If you've understood, leave. This apartment is under my name. When we divorce, you have no right to live here. Pale-faced, Noah packed his bags and left the apartment. I hired a lawyer, sent divorce papers to Noah, and claimed monetary compensation for damages from Noah and Lily. Lily's affair became a huge topic at work. Since she made so many mistakes and caused so much trouble for many people, her salary was drastically cut, and she was moved to another office far away. Lily couldn't stand her punishment, and she quit. After putting in so much effort to get a job, she barely lasted a few months. It was all just a waste of time. Well, she got what she deserved. In order to leave the countryside, Lily studied desperately and got into a good university. But once she enrolled there, she became really rotten. She knew she was attractive, so she used that as a tool to get other students to do her work for her. She rarely ever went to class and just played around, but she still managed to graduate. She had become lazy. So even if she had good grades and graduated from a good university, she was useless at her job. Of course, I told this all to my sister. My sister was livid and dragged her daughter back to the countryside. She now has to help out on the farm every day and uses nearly all the money she makes to pay me back. All she has for herself is a small allowance. By the way, it turns out the father of her child wasn't my ex-husband. Lily had other sugar daddies, but when she got pregnant, the others all disappeared. Noah was the only person who believed the child was his and said they should be together. But when he found out the child wasn't his, he left her. My sister plans on helping Lily raise her child, which is partly why she called her back to the countryside. I hope that Lily's personality improves a bit after she becomes a mother. Noah still works at the restaurant, but his life has become tough as he struggles to pay what he owes me. He lives a poor life, alone, worried about his debt every day. I'm focused on my career as always. I keep my employees in line and work hard every day. My worries are all gone, so I hope that from now on I will live a fulfilling life again. Thank you for watching. Dad!
Hey, how are you guys?
The kids looked forward to weekly video calls with their father who was living abroad. I thought that after his tenure was over, we could live happily together again as a family of 4. But my name is Michelle. I got married to my husband Ian, whom I had been dating since high school right after university. It was our first love and had a whirlwind romance like in movies. Our marriage was smooth sailing for 5 years. We were blessed with 2 children. His work was going well and was working abroad on a project by himself. Raising 2 boys alone was a challenge, but being a full-time housewife with the help of my parents, I was getting by. It was a weekly video call with Ian that night. The kids were excited to be able to talk with him. By the scheduled time, I, the kids, and even my parents gathered in front of the computer. It was like a big family event. To be honest, I was longing to speak to him alone about my struggles and our future plans, which I couldn't let the kids hear. Hoping I would have a chance, I prepared my computer in front of my family in the living room.
Hey, how are you kids? Have you been good boys?
Ian smiled broadly when he saw their happy faces. He seemed to be well and looked the same as ever. The kids were busy talking non-stop about what they'd done and asked him when he would be back. My parents also enjoyed watching their bubbly conversations. I guess that was what it meant to have smooth sailing and be happy. After the Q&A session was over, the kids were exhausted. That was just as well. Ian lived in a country where there was a 12-hour time difference. They were normally in bed by that time, but for that specific occasion, they took a nap during the day to stay up. We'll put the kids to bed. You guys can talk in private if you like. My parents were considerate and left the living room with them. I appreciated them for doing more than I could expect. We talked for half an hour about the kids' growth and future plans. Jack finally managed to swim 25 yards the other day. He just wants to swim every day now. Dean's doing very well in school and his teacher praised him. I'm looking forward to their future. Lately, I've been thinking, thanks to your work, we have a good life. But when I think about them growing up fast, I want them to have a little more time with you during this sensitive period. Of course, I know it's difficult.
I understand, but these couple of years are very important for my career. If the project succeeds soon, it will be easier for me to come back. I'll be able to spend more time with you guys then. Let's be strong for them.
He encouraged me. After that, I gossiped a bit about mommy friends and asked him about his plan for the day. Soon I reached the limit of sleepiness. My parents, who had put the kids to bed and returned to the living room, also looked tired. I'm sorry, I'm exhausted now. I have an early start tomorrow, so I'm going to bed. I thought I had hung up the video call. My brain must have shut down already because I turned off only the camera and the speaker, and the call itself was still connected. I must have looked to Ian as if the call had ended. I felt satisfied after having spent some quality time with him. Thank you guys for putting them to bed. Let's recharge our energy too. Good night. I was about to get up from my seat.
Okay, one thing is done. Hello, I'm done with the family call. You can come over now.
I heard Ian's happy voice calling someone. Huh? Still on the line? Apparently, someone was coming to his place. He mentioned earlier that he had to go to the project site later for an inspection. I wondered if it was someone from work. I had a bad feeling when I heard his overly sweet voice. The sleepiness that had made me feel as if I could sleep as a log earlier had vanished. I told myself that it was probably just a colleague picking him up. Hopefully, it was just unfounded anxiety and nothing was going to happen. Even though I thought so, I clicked on the record button on the screen. Ian had left the room to take a shower, and only the bed was in the view. My parents also seemed to be a little uncomfortable with the tone of his voice.
He can't hear us now, can he?
My mom asked in a hushed voice. The camera and microphone are off right now, so he can't. My dad warned me that it wasn't nice to peek into his privacy and that I should have turned it off. Just a little bit until he leaves for work. I want to see how he prepares for work, please. I persisted, and the three of us continued to watch the screen together. About 15 minutes later, the doorbell rang, and I heard Ian saying,
"Hold on, coming."
I still didn't know what to expect. And there was nothing wrong with taking a shower before going to work and having his colleague pick him up. I still couldn't help but feel uneasy and suspicious about his cheerful voice. I saw him get out of the shower and walk across the bedroom in his bathrobe. I thought to myself, oh no, it's finally happening.
He wouldn't wear a bathrobe when his colleague is picking him up, right? The closet is probably in his bedroom. My mom was anxiously talking to my dad and me. Then we heard a woman's voice in the distance. We saw her, probably in her 20s, with her hand wrapped around his waist, come into the screen. I wondered if happiness was something that could fall apart so suddenly. Thinking so, I stared at the screen with my parents. This is it, isn't it? It's unbelievable. I tried to come up with something better to say, but my throat felt tight and nothing else came out. I'm going to hunt him down. Otherwise, I won't be able to calm myself. I'm keeping quiet for now for the recording of important evidence, but I'm going to make sure he takes responsibility for this.
My dad was furious. Ian was lying on the bed with the woman kissing and playing with her breasts on the screen. I felt like a fool, wondering what I was doing. I wish we could go on another trip. We spent quite a bit last time. Do you still have any money to spare? She asked while showing him the pictures of their trip on her phone.
Don't worry, I've told the accounting guy to separate my paycheck stubs. My wife doesn't know how much I get paid. I also handle the family savings, so even if I spend a little, she won't know.
He was very relaxed. While I was raising the kids here, he was enjoying a trip with his mistress. Moreover, as far as I heard, they went to a place I had repeatedly told him that I wanted to go. And then, sure enough, they started doing the deed. I felt nauseated, but my parents and I watched them on the screen with blank expressions. My dad said,
You don't have to watch all this. Go to bed now. It's harmful to your eyes.
I'll have to see it as evidence later anyway, so let me just get it over with. I put on a brave face and replied nonchalantly. After they were done, and just as the mistress was about to leave, I quietly turned off the computer. It was already 3 a.m. We all must have been overwhelmed by mixed feelings, and I could see that my parents were exhausted. Guys, let's go to bed for now. We went back to our respective bedrooms, but I could not sleep at all. My body was too tired to move, but my brain was in a state of shock. My heart was beating 100 miles an hour. A sense of loss, a sense of despair, and an indescribable sense of closure overwhelmed me. I thought about what to do. I wondered if it could have been all a dream when I woke up in the morning. Who was that woman? So many thoughts were going around and round in my head. As I was fighting the sick feeling and trying to regulate my breathing, the morning came. What's wrong, Mom? You don't look well. My kids were worried. Sorry, I was talking to your dad until late and didn't sleep much last night. I made up a little lie.
Your mom is tired today. Nana and I will drop you guys off. My parents took over my task for me.
Get well soon, Mom. Let's go. The encouragement from the pure and kind kids almost brought tears to my eyes. I tried hard not to cry and send them off with a smile. I needed to get some sleep. I couldn't think straight. I drank a glass of water and went back to the bedroom. Ian was supposed to come back in 2 months. I had to prepare as much as I could before then and protect my kids no matter what. I swore to myself as I fell asleep. I must have been more exhausted than I thought. I slept until my kids came back. Mom, wake up! Grandpa wanted takeout today, so we got a pizza. Hurry, hurry! Jack woke me up, and I staggered into the dining room. Mommy, are you okay? Dean looked at me worried. Yes, I'm okay, thank you. I'm feeling much better seeing you boys. Did you have fun today? I tickled them, pretending to be cheerful. Stop it! No! They were relieved to see me looking joyful. Seeing them happily play around, my parents also looked a little relieved. You can't fight a war on an empty stomach. As I ate my pizza, I thought about the future. First, I told myself to find out who the woman was, and then took a mental note to make an appointment with an attorney. There was no end to what I would have to do if I started thinking about custody, alimony, and so on. For the time being, I thought it would be best to consult an attorney. I didn't want to spread the rumors by consulting my friends. Fortunately, I was a housewife and had time during the day. After dinner, I put the kids to bed and called my parents into the living room. About yesterday, there's no point in dwelling on it. If I didn't have kids, I would have procrastinated. Strangely enough, when I thought about them, I became calm. I need your help. Then, without a pause, my dad said,
Of course. While you were sleeping, I called an attorney I used to know. I know him from when one of my friends was cheated on by his wife, he said proudly. I was very grateful, but I knew it was nothing to be proud of. I turned to look at my mom. I will help you as much as I can. I trusted Ian so much, but he betrayed us. I wouldn't be satisfied if I didn't do anything. She readily agreed. I wasn't sure what she was planning, but she seemed to be enjoying the situation. I made an appointment with the attorney this weekend. Can you be there? My dad asked about my schedule, and my mom said, Don't worry, I'll watch the kids. The next day, we started rolling. We had 2 months until Ian's visit. We wanted to settle everything before then. First, I checked all the SNS. It was surprisingly easy to find out about his mistress. She worked for the same company as him. She was a secretary at an overseas branch. I went to his company and explained the situation to his local boss to get his help. His boss was at first puzzled, but as soon as I showed him the video of the infidelity, he held his head in his hands. I am very sorry. I will share the situation with my supervisor and take the appropriate action. Next, we discussed filing for divorce, alimony, and the necessary information with the attorney. The video evidence of his infidelity alone was conclusive, and I also had a copy of the bank statement and contact information of the mistress. It was almost perfect, so I was told not to worry. Of course, I had to report it to my parents-in-law. At first, they denied the accusation and said I was making it up to get alimony. But as soon as I showed them the video, they fell quiet and apologized to me frantically. We are so sorry. We will do everything we can to help you. The most painful part was explaining the situation to my kids. I honestly didn't know what to tell them. If I lied and told them that he couldn't come home for a long time because of work, they would grow up looking forward to visiting him without question. I didn't want to do that. I made up my mind and told them. Your dad lied to me in a very unforgivable way. I'm very hurt. I can't live with him anymore when he comes back. I'm sure you guys will miss him, but will you come and stay with me? They didn't seem to understand the gravity of the situation yet.
but they said they wanted to be with me. I couldn't help but cry. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Then came the day Ian returned. I told him that I had reserved a private room at a restaurant to welcome him home with the family. I waited for him with my parents, my in-laws, and his boss. As soon as he arrived at the restaurant,
Is there anything you need to tell us?
my father-in-law asked him, managing to suppress his anger.
What's going on? Boss! All of you! What's this all about?
He was flabbergasted by the situation. There's no point in keeping a secret. All I need is your signature. I slammed the divorce papers, alimony charge, and a letter of termination from his company. He was stunned and frozen, and my in-laws started yelling at him. I told him to speak to my attorney and left the restaurant with my parents. After that,
I want to start over with you. It was wrong. I love only you with all my heart.
his forgive me messages rolled in non-stop, so I told him to go through my attorney and blocked him. He staked out in front of my house a few times and tried to clear the path through my parents. He intentionally bumped into them and spoke to them in a strangely friendly manner. He tried various ways to get close to me, including talking to mutual acquaintances. Of course, I brushed them off. I called the police when he showed up at my house, and my parents completely ignored him. I told my friends the whole story and put the word out. He was completely isolated. I was told later that when I called the police, he got a little out of control. He was charged with assault and battery and joined the National Criminal Database. On the day of the court hearing, he asked to see the children at least once a month. When I asked him how dare he come to see them, he shrunk and fell silent. He did have the right to see them, so if they asked to see him, he was allowed to do so with me present for a limited time. Since he came back, he had been having a pretty spectacular time. He lost his family, was disowned by his parents, and was eventually laid off from his job. He was living on the edge while working part-time jobs to pay alimony. The salary he lied about and the savings, which were used up in the end, were used against him to make up a considerable amount of alimony. He also broke up with his mistress. He couldn't afford to pay child support, so his parents were paying on his behalf as a way of apology to their grandchildren. He was seeing the kids in the beginning, but as they got to the age when they understood what had happened, the less often they asked to see him. From the day I found out about his affair to the day of divorce passed like a storm. It's a funny story now. To be honest, I don't have an ounce of sympathy or sadness for him anymore, no matter where he is or what he's going through. As for me, I invested the alimony in stocks and was very successful. I was able to send my kids to college without any difficulties. Now that my kids are independent, I bought a small house in the countryside and I'm enjoying a slow life by myself. What I enjoy most now is seeing my adorable grandchildren. Although it's not a convenient place like the city with everything you need, it has a lot of nature, clean air, and a very pleasant community. I don't have a lot of reasons to go to the city, so I'm satisfied with this tranquil place. I have a family who loves me very much. My sons come to visit me with their families during the summer vacation. I spend my days thinking, I'll never want to give up this happiness.